And it just makes your life flow so much easier when you're working with the energy instead of flailing along or working against it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Swara, and welcome to the Seeker's Solution Summit, where you can discover who you are on a deeper level to create ultimate freedom, joy, and abundance. I'm so happy today to introduce to you a very good friend of mine, Joy Woodward, who's a numerologist and here to share with you so much wisdom and knowledge about numerology. Welcome, Joy.
Thank you for having me. Happy 2022.
Yes, happy 2022. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited. This is a summit called Seekers Solution Summit. We're all seekers here looking for new ways to go deeper with ourselves, to learn more about ourselves. And I'm so excited about this idea of numerology. I know a little bit about it, but I'd love to know more in this discussion. I'm so excited. But first, how did you come to this work? What was your journey of seeking?
Well, I definitely took a scenic route. I had a corporate career for almost 20 years, made lots of money, had lots of people reporting to me, really stressful, lots of hours. And the universe just went, no, we're going to switch this up, change a direction. So it really was not a direct sort of, I wasn't raised in a sort of spiritual home. It was really religious, very different. So, but I was, I had a reading actually with a woman, and I realize now it wasn't maybe super awesome, but it was enough to get me really interested and down that path.
Wonderful. So when you got those signs from the universe telling you you have to go in this other direction, your life really isn't about what you're doing now in that corporate job. What type of things were happening that you recognize that?
Well, I kept getting moved. So it would be a really toxic work environment at where I was. And then I would sort of try and, control the situation and try and force things. And I realize now, based on the timeline I was in, how very detrimental that was. But in saying that, I had the experience. Now I can relate it back to clients, that if you try and force things in a personal 4-year, they're going to backfire. And so ultimately, I actually ended up getting fired, and we parted ways. And it was, the universe went nope, and I was like, not done. Went back to another corporate job, and it was very clear very quickly that it wasn't going to work. It wasn't a good fit for me anymore.
Wow, that's amazing. And so I love that you're having this sort of dialogue with the universe as you're going along, but then the clarity came. And so, what kind of work did you end up doing after that?
I took a year off, and it was a 7 year for me, which is a really reflective time. And I actually have your numbers here, and I know that 2022 for you is going to be a personal 7 year. So if people can get in touch with their sort of natural drum beat that the flow of the universe works with, it can really be magical. So a 7 year is all about becoming the expert on something. And so I took a year off. I read every book I could find on numerology. I took some classes, some workshops, and I thought I was just really honing in on a hobby. And all of a sudden, I had friends who started sending people to me. And I was actually at a party. It was for a friend's 40th birthday. And I was watching people, and I was just like, oh, she's totally a 6. That gift was like so thoughtful. Only a 6 would know how to do that. And oh, that person, oh, they have to be center of attention. Oh, that's some 3 energy happening over there. And so I would actually be like, when's your birthday? And what happened is a lineup actually started forming of people who wanted to come talk to me and go, do me next. Like, tell me my numbers. And so from there, I started getting clients, and it was really a bizarre thing to, start charging people to do this. But I've never advertised. I've never, really had to do much. Like, clients are all referral basis, and they all keep coming back, and they give me beautiful testimonials. And so it's been a really downstream journey, which was quite the opposite of my corporate career. There
Yeah.
was nothing, that didn't feel downstream at all.
Yeah.
But what it did was give me a foundation, so I can really relate to clients and really help them with whatever it is they're dealing with. So that part's really good. And you learn a lot about people.
I love that. I love that idea of downstream journey. I just have such a strong visual on that, and I could feel the energy of that, like ease happening around you. But the fact that you also responded, you responded to sort of the universe's call, you stepped into that and you went along and you were willing. That's amazing. What an amazing journey. So can you tell us now, in your work that you do, what are you most passionate about?
Well, there's a couple different things. Right now, at the beginning of the year, I'm really trying to help clients really tune into their numbers and really work with their energy so it can inspire you and you can use that to plan and set goals. And I really love using the moon to help blend with the natural numerical energy and really set goals. So what I mean by that is, like, for the collective, January is a 7 month. So that's really about self-care. It's about becoming the expert on something. So the collective energy is really supposed to be kind of quiet right now, right? And as you have the different variants ramping up, they send people back into their houses. It's like the universe is saying, I said quiet. It's quiet time, right? So if you can work with that energy and know that that's what you're supposed to be doing, your life will really flow and get magical. So February, for example, is an 8 month. 8 is where karma finds balance. It rules money. You can put a $sign right over the shape of the 8, right? It also rules authority figures. So you can look forward to February and go, okay, I need to plan a little bit. There's likely going to be an expense coming up that I wasn't necessarily planning for. And there's going to be more money coming in than I usually have. So it's like money in, money out. It's the revolving door. So you can plan that. Then March is going to be a 9 month, and 9 brings endings to things. And so this is where I really see that it's our first sort of opportunity as an exit from this pandemic. Because it's a 9 month. 9 brings conclusion to things, but it's also about forgiveness. So if you can use your 9 month to forgive, let go, and make space for the new things coming in, then when you get to your 1 month, it starts to, really flow and opportunities present and they can come in. And saying that, a 9 month's not a great time to start things. So if you do try and start things in a 9 month, you'll find they're not downstream and they don't tend to grow roots. And it shows up in every area of your life. So I've been doing this now for 11 years that with clients, I see in a 9 month, there'll often be a miscarriage. If you start a job in a 9 month, it won't last very long. So if you can look at this and go, okay, this isn't great planning. I'm going to save myself and I'm going to work on letting go and releasing. Next month, I'm really going to hit the ground running. I'm going to use this 9 month for planning. And it just makes your life flow so much easier when you're working with the energy instead of flailing along or working against it.
Beautiful. That sounds amazing. I can feel the ebb and flow of that story happening. And to have that knowledge ahead of time must be so empowering for your clients.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. So that's the collective energy. When you break it down for your personal energy, that's where it gets really magical. So,
and how do those things work together, the personal energy as well as the collective energy? what if those two things are a little bit off, when it might be collectively a time to be quiet, but personally a time to come out in the world and start something?
Yeah, so cycles, your personal one will always override the collective one, but the
Mhm.
collective one is what's happening sort of around you and how you can see what's happening and how people are responding to you. You can see that in the collective and really in the news cycle, in the stories that are being reported and the type of things that are happening. That all comes out in the collective. Um, and sometimes they are in contrast or toxic to each other. And that's where you feel really imbalanced. You have to work extra hard at staying grounded
Mm.
and really maintain your focus.
Yeah, beautiful. So I love all this information. It's so rich and there's so much meaning here. So when people work with you, what can they expect while they're working with you? How does that happen?
Well, I recommend if people want to start to get into numerology, a really good thing is to have a reading so you understand what information is available to you. And you can get a lot of that from a book, a decent book. The problem with a lot of the information out there is it's not actually even presented by numerologists. They're like copywriters who are hired to write books. And I'm like, ah. So that's a little bit harsh for me. And not all numerologists are created equal. You have to do your research and try and find one you resonate with that can give you decent information. I recommend people start with a numerology blueprint. You get all the information about your personality, which can be so validating. Like, oh, that's why I'm so misunderstood, or that's why I'm so aggressive in my job, or that's why I'm a serial dater and I don't like being single, right? So it really can give you validation. And then the second part of the reading, I always go through everybody's numerical drumbeat for what they're experiencing and what they can expect. But it can be very magical when let's say you want to sell a house. By picking the right month to list your house, sell the house, numerically picking a number that the house will be happy with, that is also supported, can really make that transaction smooth. So I had one client. I was working with her on her house sale. She did everything I said, and not all clients do that, but she was like sending me photos like, look, I did this, and look, I did that. And it was like, okay, this is good. She ended up with 10 offers, and in one day, or sorry, she had 10 showings, 8 offers, and it was 10,000 over list.
Wow, that's
So it
amazing.
really worked for her, just setting that intention, really following, what the universe kind of is guiding you to do. It can really come together.
I love that. I almost see it the way that you describe it as sort of like hidden energies that are flowing around us that we might not be aware of, but the numerology really gives us that information and brings it forward, and that it could be used on so many things. I didn't realize it could be used for property. Um, and I'm a person that also believes in past lives.
Yes.
Does it reveal to you anything about past lives or soul journeys or soul paths in this lifetime?
It really can. So this is where actually in the Akashic records, you can actually use a numerology blueprint to look at where there's karma or karmic debt. Look at that, go into the records, clear it, and help the person move forward and understand it. So for example, we want to talk about your chart a little bit. um,
Okay,
you and I,
I would love to.
you and I both have this. So it's 19-1 karma, and that has a little bit of karmic debt attached to it. And the other thing I found interesting about your chart is neither of us have any karmic lessons, which is actually, it's not very common that you find that. You do from time to time, but most people come here to learn something, and it's very specific, shows up in their chart. You and I both don't have that, but we do have a little bit of karmic debt that we're here making up for. And for both of us, it's 19-1. And that is abuse of power from a past lifetime.
Mm.
So also not a very common karmic debt to find. I know when I find that you've had a past life where you were in a epically powerful situation. And so either high ranking military, royalty, or like high ranking politician. So you abused your power in a huge way. And now you're here to learn how you found how it shows up in this lifetime is trouble with authority figures.
No, I don't have that.
I
Not me.
mentioned I'd been fired, right? That was,
I love that. I love that. I relate to so much of that. That's incredible. I love that you're combining the numerology with the Akashic records, how impactful and powerful that can be. Because I know that in the Akashic records, I'm an Akashic records reader myself.
right.
There's so much that can happen there, so much healing, so much information to come through. So to have that added layer on the numerology is so fascinating. It's so incredible. What a powerful tool.
Yeah, it's really like a shortcut. Do you know what I mean? Where you can go, okay, where can I find this? Right? Not looking for what it is. And then, do you know what I mean? You
Yes.
know what you're there for. So it kind of is an easy entry point.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh my gosh, how powerful. It really dimensionalizes the work that you're doing too, to
Yeah.
reveal that information. And so from that, are you be able to find out what a person's soul path or their work or, whatever, how they want to express in the world in this life is?
Yeah. So different numbers and different placements mean different things. So, and then sometimes, like for you, for example, you have the same life path as birthday number and attitude number. So you're going to kind of come across very straightforward. People are going to understand you. You're not really going to surprise people. But every once in a while, you meet that person that has so much diversity in their chart. You're just like, I do not understand you. I don't understand what motivates you. I thought you were this, then you did that. And those people have a lot of, I kind of explained it as tools in their toolbox,
Yeah.
where they're, good at stuff and things, but not really an expert at any of them. Right. When you get repeating numbers, you're more developed in your gifts. So in saying that, your personality, your destiny number, and your birthday number are where your gifts and talents as they relate to career are revealed.
Mhm.
Your life path is sort of that ultimate point A to B. All the other numbers are like, how are we going to get there?
Mhm.
Right. And based on where your vibration is going to sort of dictate what type of experiences you attract and how much soul evolution you experience in this lifetime.
Mhm. Wow, that's so fascinating. That's so much information. I love it. It's so great. I want to dig in deeper. So as you've helped people like find their soul path and their expression that they really want to come forward with in this life, have you seen people make that transition and actually transform into that using numerology?
Yeah, I have. And there's nothing more sort of, it just feels kind of abrasive when someone's doing something so far out of, like if their parents pressured them to become a doctor because they were a doctor, but they have really artist numbers and not those kind of, medical numbers. It's really harsh to see. Sometimes it can give them the courage to go, okay, that's not my path. And really, if you trust, and you have to be smart about it, I'm not telling people to go quit their job tomorrow, but if you trust in the divine and that they will bring you the opportunities, the right people at the right time, and you know where to watch for them, you can really transition beautifully.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. Do you have maybe some stories or anything, an example of something like that that worked for someone just to help like ground it?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you about my own sort of experience with this. So I transitioned, I took that year off, and clients just started to appear, right? And then I was in a personal 8 year, and that's when I actually formally started my business. And 8 rules sort of authority figures, it rules money, that corporate structure, all of those things. And so that all was a very natural thing to do. I spent my 9 year just holding steady, continuing the research, planning to be a bit bigger, trying to put myself out there, all of those things. When I hit my 1 year is when I got really serious and I went, okay, I'm not going back to corporate. I know now that this is what it is. And so with that, I set some intentions, and I like working with the moon. So new moon, set intentions, full moon, release, forgive, and move through some of the shadows and work on that part of yourself, which numerology can also help you reveal where the not awesome parts of your personality are. And so I did a lot of self work. But when I hit my 5 year, I remember I had a client say to me, can you recommend a book? And I get asked that question quite often. And I said, well, this one, except this part is inaccurate, or this book, but that part's not really, I wouldn't really pay attention to that. And she goes, well, if you can't recommend a book, you're going to have to write a book. And I was, felt that. Okay. So I decided in my 5 year, J.K. Rowling is a 5. A lot of authors are 5s. They're really good storytellers. So I decided, okay, I'm going to write it. So that first chunk of the year, the 6, 7, 8, 9, which leads you up to April, I decided was not great for writing. It was good for research. It was all of those things. So when I got to May, it was my 1 month, I was like, okay, I'm getting serious. And I had done all the research. So I knew I wanted to use Scrivener, which is just nonfiction writing software. I downloaded Scrivener. The next day, I got an email from my publisher looking for a numerologist to write a book for them.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that was in my 1 month. So I also knew that it probably had a good chance of coming together.
Wow.
So did the writing sample, had my, chats with the editor and all of that. In my 11-2 month, which is about relationships, it's also a master number year. And so there's usually a destined event that occurs in those cycles. They hired me to write the book for them. And so I had sent a whole thing about, you should choose me because I'm going to be in a 3 month, and 3 is the number of the writer. It's creative. I'll be editing in my 4 month, which is all about, getting it right and details and all of that. So I wrote the book. It was really fast paced. And then by the time, so I went through all the things and it made sense. It was set to release December 24th, 2019. Mm-hmm. So I got my copies, the author copies came to my door on 12/12/12, the evening of, it was a really fabulous moon that night, but 3 is the number of writing and creativity. When you add up that entire date, it's a 9, which brings conclusion to projects or things. So that's the day I received my books, on that 12/12/12 full moon. And I started it at the full moon on the opposite side. So
that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it was so downstream though, which is such a stress-free way to live. And I mean, you still have problems, things still come up, there's still challenges, but you can always go back as sort of a touchstone, like, what should I be working on right now? Why isn't this working?
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful. I love it. I love all the synchronicities that's happening around you. And it's not just happening, you're preparing for it. You're acting on these signposts and energies and going with the flow of it, really downstream living. I think that's amazing. Can you show us the book that you wrote? I think that'd be great for people to see, because I love it.
Here's it's The Beginner's Guide to Numerology.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, you can actually do your own chart from this. And create your whole personality profile and kind of get a basic understanding.
I love it. That story was so amazing. It really touched my heart. It makes me feel like it's possible to find a way to make everyday life just a little bit easier, just to lift a little bit of that pressure off and live in the flow and conversation with the universe and the energies around you. So I feel really inspired. I want to learn more for sure.
Well, we're in a sixth universal year right now, 2022, and so it's sort of a destined master number year. I think we'll look back on 2022 as a bit of a turning point. Twos like everybody to be harmonious. They want everybody to get along, and a nice way to sort of understand it is everybody up to 2000 was born with that one in front of their year of birth.
Mhm.
And we were all raised with this competitive, look out for number one. If you're not winning, you're losing, right? And now we have the twos, and they're very much into teamwork and coming together and helping one another. And they're very sensitive and they get their feelings hurt, but they always all get a trophy. So it's a very, very different energy moving from that one to two. And all of the first people born with the two are also all turning 22 this year.
Oh,
So that's kind of another interesting dynamic. But two is about finding balance and harmony.
mhm.
Six overall is all about love. So when you add up the 2022, you get the six. It's about love and compassion. So we're really being encouraged, invited to come together and sort of check our differences and as a collective. Whether that happens or not is really about free will. Sixes have very strong opinions, and it's kind of a devil or angel number. So Charlie Sheen is a life path six, but so is Meryl Streep. So it can show itself very differently. But it's about family, it's about your home, your kids, your pets, all of those things. And so it'll be interesting to see what side of that we end up on. But with that six energy, you can expect big things like the Supreme Court with Roe versus Wade and all of that. That's six rules the feminine, it rules female organs, all of that. So those are all the types of things you can kind of expect to come up in the news collectively. But really, it's about finding balance this year and, coming together under compassion and love.
Yeah.
It's a year of we, not me.
Yeah.
So anything really ego-based or selfish will backfire. You'll see where that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that. I feel when you said that, it really is recognizing something that maybe I've already been feeling and seeing in my own life or in the space around me. I do feel like everybody's shifting to a softer place, wanting to come together. And then after going through the holidays right now, people really longing to be together and return to love and put down their opinions and put down, their stance on things or whatever, and just put it down so that we can all sort of come together. I've already been feeling that energy moving in. So what you're describing, I love it because it really sort of makes clear maybe something that was vague inside of me that I was feeling and experiencing, but that clarity is so great because now I think I can see all those pieces and it makes sense to me. So I love that. I think that, that shows what people can experience when they work with numerology, when they work with you in this kind of way. Yeah.
Well, and so when I look at your numbers again with your personal year, in 2021, you were in a 6 year. And so you experienced a lot of this energy personally last year. So things with your house, your kids, and it rules pets. And you shared with me earlier that you got a dog. Yeah. So these are all the kinds of things that happen to people in the 6 year. Whether you're aware of your numbers or not, it's happening. You're experiencing it. So it's much better to tune in and work with it and be inspired by it
Yeah.
than work against it, or, make decisions that have to be, learning the hard way, going back over and over again.
Yeah, yeah. I love that word inspiration. That kind of pulls you forward instead of trying to avoid or block or hold something off. It really sort of pulls you into the future. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, so it looks like it's coming to the end of our time, but before we go, I understand that you've brought a gift with you for the audience. Will you tell us more about that?
Yes, I really love it when people work with the moon and with their personal cycles. So this is a moon calendar and a universal numerical calendar, and I have all the retrogrades and everything on here. So if they just go to my website, that will get sent out to you. And then the other thing that I have available is, if you are really interested in having your personal calendar, those can also be purchased, and they break it down right to the day. So, for example, if you have to pay a whole bunch of bills, you might want to do that on an 8-day. If you are scheduling an interview, you might want to do that on a 2-day. If you're, have some creative project you have to work on, you might want to put it on a 3-day. If you have self-promotion, that's great to put on a 5-day. So you can actually go drill right down to that part if you want.
That's wonderful. How fun that'll be to
Yeah.
go in there and look at that. What a generous gift. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
And thank you, Joy, for being here today. I found this conversation to be so enlightening, intriguing. I'm really wanting to learn more, and so informative. Thank you so much for sharing your love, your passion for numerology. We're so grateful.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And for our audience out there, I hope you have found this conversation to be as fun as I have. I loved it. And we have so many more conversations to have every single day. So please come back, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.